Section A, short answer questions, 45 marks. Then the instruction reads, answer all the questions in the spaces provided on the question paper. Then question number 1, it reads, figure 1 shows a palisade cell observed under a light microscope. What does this simply mean? This simply means that this cell, okay, this palisade cell, it was seen, it was observed. The word observed simply means it was seen, okay, using or under a what? A light microscope. You must understand that a light microscope is a type of a microscope which uses what? Light. And these microscopes are commonly found in schools. These microscopes are very much cheap. They are commonly found in what? In schools. They use what? Light. You must take note that these light microscopes are not that detailed. Okay? Light microscope are not what? Are not detailed. When you use, let me say, if you see a cell under a light microscope, some other parts won't be seen. Okay, those tiny parts, they won't be seen. A light microscope, it uses light. Okay, only, let me say, only a few parts will be what? Will be observed or will be seen. Okay, so remember there are two types. There's what we call a light microscope and also an electron microscope. So a light microscope, it's not that detailed. Okay, this one just uses what? Light. It makes the cell to be clear enough, okay, to see it. So then an electron microscope, it sees even tiny parts or structures in a cell. So if you check, we have cell membrane, we have nucleus, we have cytoplasm, okay, and these parts. So these parts can be seen using a light microscope. But if this cell was seen under an electron microscope, even tiny structures or parts will be seen. So we move. The question, it reads, A, identify the parts labeled A, B, and C. You must take note. What does the question says? Shows a palisade cell. It shows a what? A palisade cell. So the first key thing that you must understand is, what is a palisade cell? A palisade cell is a special type of a plant cell found mainly in the upper layer of a leaf. So a palisade cell is a special type of a plant cell found mainly in the upper layer of a leaf. So palisade cell, where they are located, these palisade cell, they are found in the upper layer of a leaf. They are found upwards, okay, on the upper layer of of a leaf. And you must take note that these palisade cell, okay, they are long, thin, and packed with many chloroplasts. So if you check, we have these, okay, these are what we call chloroplasts. So palisade cell, they do have lots of chloroplasts. You see these, okay. So they are long. So if you check their length, they are they are long, and also they are thin, and they have lots of chloroplasts. Okay, and the main reason why they do have lots of chloroplasts, because these chloroplasts, they help the plant to make food by photosynthesis. These chloroplasts, they help in terms of trapping light in order for the process of photosynthesis to do to take place. Okay, so let us move. Identify the parts labeled A, B, and C. Let us move. We have A. If you check, it's pointing at the cell wall. So you're going to write here cell wall, then B, then part B. So if you check for wall, it's pointing at it's the vacuole. It's the vacuole. Then now, if we check, then C, it's pointing directly at a chloroplast. chloroplast. Take note with the spelling, because in biology spellings, they do play a very important a role. So the answers were the cell wall. So this is the cell wall, okay, the outside part, the outer part, then the vacuum, okay, which stores cells up, okay, then we have the chloroplast, okay, which helps in terms of trapping light energy in order for the process of photosynthesis to to occur. Let us move. B, explain the functions of the part labeled A. So if we check part A, what is the main function of the part labeled A? This part A has many functions. So we can say, okay, let me say, which is the cell wall. Okay, cell wall, let me say, protects the cell, okay, from what? So the cell wall protects the cell from what? From mechanical, okay, from mechanical what? From mechanical damage. That's what you can say. Explain the functions of the part labeled A. So number one, cell wall, which is the cell wall, okay, protects the cell from what? Mechanical damage. So let us understand the English here, okay. We must understand the English here very well. And the word in this case is what? The question is not saying function, but it says what? It says functions, which means we must give at least two, not one, because the question says functions. So you have to take note of the language being what? Being used. So the words, they do what? Play a very important role. So if you check verbal, we can even add up, let me say, I can even say and, okay, not a full stop here. I'll say, okay, protects the cell from mechanical damage, and then I'll say and I'll erase this full stop. Then I'll say and it prevents, okay, and it prevents the cell, and it prevents the cell from what? From bursting, okay, and it prevents the cell from bursting, okay, when water enters. Okay, take note of the English here. It says explain the functions, not explain the function, okay, which means it's the word here, it's what? It's plural, okay. So protects the cell from mechanical damage, and it prevents the cell from bursting when water enters. Then put a full stop. So let us move now to the part labeled C. Okay, to question number C rather. So give two differences between the cell in figure 1 and the one found in the human trachea. So the key word here is what? It's differences. Take note, differences. That's the key word here, okay? The differences. So here we are going to say, take note, we have 1 and also 2. They want what? 2. So we are going to write, let me say, I'm going to say figure 1. Take note, figure 1 is what? Is this one, the placid cell. So I will say figure 1, okay. Then I will say figure 1 has a cell wall, okay, but human trachea, say but human trachea. So if you check, I'm doing let me say, I'm using the word but here in order to differentiate the two. So I've said figure 1 has a cell wall but, okay, or you can say wow, okay, to differentiate the two. So figure 1 has a cell wall but human trachea, okay, but human trachea, I'll say, has no what? I'll say has no cell wall, then full stop. So make sure when you are talking about the differences, make sure whenever you are giving the differences, make sure that you can use the word but to differentiate the two things being differentiated. So you can say but or a wow or wellest. Okay, then number 2, let us give another one. Say figure 1. I'll say figure 1. Okay, I'll say figure 1 has what? Has chloroplast, but human trachea, okay, but human trachea has no chloroplast. See? Then put a full stop. So we move then now D. State the names of any other 2 organelles that would be seen if the cell in figure 1 was observed under an electron microscope. Take note, we have 2 types of microscopes. There's a light microscope, and also we have an electron microscope. Take note that between the two, the one which is more visible, okay, which can see tiny structures in a cell or tiny parts, is an electron microscope. So this question is simply asking us indirectly to state, let me say, the invisible parts. Okay, if this cell was observed under an electron microscope, mention any 2 tiny parts that will be seen. Take note here, it says state the name of the over any other 2 organelles. Take note that organelles, these are tiny or small structures found in a cell. Okay, so in short, we can do this. I'll say the first ones are the organelles. Okay, so the organelles are tiny, are very much small. Okay, they can be observed using an electron microscope. So a group of these small structures, a group of all organelles, they form they form cells. So a group of organelles, okay, they form cells. Then a group of cells, they form tissues. Okay, so organelles are very small, are tiny, so they can be seen or observed using an electron microscope. So now, if you check, if this cell was observed using an electron microscope, some other parts that will be seen are, number 1, ribosomes. Okay, there'll be ribosomes. Okay, and apart from this, also mitochondria. Okay, and also mitochondria. So it's very much important that you take note of this thing. All right,